Hey friends, hope you're doing really well. And I know the start time of this video is delayed, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy Brown. My team and I of non-diet, trauma-trained, informed, eating disorder nutrition therapist and intuitive eating experts, do these videos to help encourage you, to help you get to the deeper nuances of making peace with food and weight in a way that's not surfacey. We really want you to get deep and dismantle and excavate the gunk that's holding you back in your life and move on. So this video is different than usual because I actually had someone reach out to me asking me if they would tell their story. So I'm actually telling a story, and it's a little bit of amalgam of people, not to fully disclose anybody, but also like I was asked with full disclosure and permission to talk about this, is that in these times, I can't tell you how many people are feeling so overwhelmed for all kinds of reasons, not just necessarily for what's been going on in the world, let's say for the last, 2+ years, but like the things that seem to keep popping up and keep happening in our world that are really just hard and overwhelming. And so you add that on top. If you're a sensitive person and you tend to just feel a lot anyway, and then you've got your own stuff that you're trying to navigate of any pressures or stressors that anybody else in your little universe is struggling with that you might be feeling, plus your own stuff you're trying to excavate. Most people who come to me, they're not really just looking for surface, like, I want to like my body better. They're really looking for like, I want to understand and get to the root of this so that I can fully move on. So I'm not just like a normal like a person who kind of worries about food and weight and that's the end of it. It's like, no, I want to be so different that like I just kind of eat the food is just food, and I just put some clothes on, and it's like that's the kind of the end of it. And it takes a lot of excavating to get there. So anyway, the story is about like this person said like literally like it's almost like I'm so overwhelmed that I know where I want to be, but I've got so much stuff going on that I can't even pick a day to like, go to the groceries or go to the appointment that I really love going to, let's say a nutrition or a therapy appointment, or to regularly take time just for quiet and to fight for that. I'm even having a hard time doing the things I know that really help me. So that could be regular meals and snacks, getting groceries, wearing comfortable clothes, the normal stuff. I'm having a hard time. And we were talking about, I think that we have a spoon problem. And so let me tell you the story about that. A spoon problem would be like you have this much capacity. And in that, in that little window is where like, wow, I can like, manage my life. I feel like I can problem solve. I can have a stressor, but not have an over or under response to it. I can take care of myself, like my food needs, my sleep needs, needs for quiet, needs for connection. I can do that with these things. And what happens, let's say you have 10 spoons, but then all of a sudden it feels like somebody hands you another one of their spoons. And then something over here happens where you have to take another spoon. And before you know it, it's like, I don't have the capacity for 12 spoons. I only have the capacity for 10. And what usually happens? We usually end up dropping our own. So that means like, oh my goodness, like I forgot to get groceries this week, even though I'm in recovery. And we should always be getting groceries, right? Our bodies need fuel, regularly, but we forget about it sometimes, even though we're like maybe spending a lot of time and effort, like watching videos like this. And when we feel like we're spinning, we know we're in some overwhelm. Overwhelm means that like we need to like just stop what we're doing and like really basically just like, okay, I'm pulling the plug on all this right now, and I'm going to sit back in this seat, and I'm really going to be what is the most important thing right now. And it's always going to go back to the basics, like how much of other people's stuff am I taking on, how much of other things that I really just don't have the capacity to process and hold in a healthy way. I don't really have the capacity to like take on that other thing for somebody else, even though they need help, and maybe I could even be helpful, but this week I can't, but I'm doing it anyway because that's the expectation. There's a need to just like slow down and really get clear, because if you're still running in a threat response, so if you've got only capacity for 10 spoons and you're still trying to do 15, you're going to feel like you're in a threat response versus stop what we're doing. And what are we doing? Like looking at all the things that we spend any kind of time or focus on in any one day. And if you've got 10 spoons available to you, some of them have to be on negotiating, how do I really feel my feet and my seat and my back, look inside, and what do I need to do to take care of myself? So let's say that's like keeping your boundaries with your sleep takes a spoon, and making your meals and snacks and getting that takes a spoon. And so now you got 8 left, and they can go. And maybe you take care of children, or you're in a partnership that certain parts of the life get run by you, and you're negotiating that part or navigating that part. You've got your job, you've got whatever. I think it's really important to recognize that now you're down to 5, but you're still spending too much time watching the news, which is taking 2 from you. Now you've only got 3. So those kind of things are really important to be really, really clear. You have to slow down. So we got a reader here that's like, yep, that's me. I'm having a hard time going forward, doing things yet at the same time and go for it anyway. Okay, but are you going forward with the things that are of lasting value? So if you're overcommitting, I'm just saying yes to things, but then at the same time, you're not putting any spoons toward what would help you go forward to help people. But with you having more capacity, it's like we're just recapitulating more trauma responses, right? Versus, all right, I need to spend some time looking at every hour of my day and where am I giving my time and my focus and my attention to? Because if not, we end up getting in fight or flight, which eventually ends up landing us back in like shutdown, and we go in autopilot mode, and then we're overwhelmed. So that's all there is to it, is if you're feeling like the person who asked me to tell this story, it's really important for you, like, what am I doing? Like, I'm spending so much of my time in autopilot and feeling like I'm not getting somewhere, but life is still speeding by and moving forward. It's time to stop and really examine, like, I only have so many spoons, I only have so much time. Am I spending any of that actually growing my capacity? And we're going to talk a little bit in Wednesday's video about how to actually grow your capacity. Of course, doing this journey is one of the things that will grow your capacity for sure, but we have to put energy into that. So we're going to talk about that in Wednesday's video. For today, I really have a homework assignment for everybody watching. Is if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling like you're kind of spinning and like procrastinating, doing things that like feel really important to you and that have lasting value, and that kind of actually grow your window of tolerance and grow your capacity to be set apart in this culture outside of diet culture. If you don't feel like you have daily activities that nurture that, it's time to start looking at where you're spending your spoon somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, in 5 years or at 10 years, you'll never regret slowing down to take more time to get clear about your food needs, to challenge your thoughts, like looking at like how you even label food. That is time and like journaling time well worth spent. Like, wow, I'm gonna like really examine. For example, I'm really having a hard time with variety of food. Why is that? Well, I think there's good food, bad food. Okay, well, tell yourself a story about that. Where did that story come from? And who says? And did you just catch yourself calling that food junk? And how does that actually help you get really clear about how your body responds to the food you're eating? If you don't examine those things and you spend your time doing something else that's not of lasting value, then it's time to like, well, of course I'm overwhelmed. I'm spending all this energy on things that don't actually grow my capacity. So it's time to start looking at like, well, what would, like, time you spend getting clear and excavating the gunk is never time wasted. But we live in a culture that's all about like the surfacey production things, or we get pulled into like things that we can't really affect anyway, and we get caught into the drama of it, and that takes away precious time to be connecting, to be getting the support we need, to be like really examining what holds us back. So we're going to talk really specifically on Wednesday. How do we grow capacity? If you're recognizing, wow, like some of my recovery stuff has fallen off the wagon because I don't really give it any spoons, then we'll talk about specifically why it's important to give it the special spoons it's due, and then actually how to use that to grow your capacity to keep moving forward, to actually be more, I don't know what the right word is, but it's like, you know, we all kind of dream of like having a fuller life and purpose out of all this mess. And we're going to talk about why spending time now with all the distractions in this world and all like the apathy that I've been seeing more and more as time goes by, and the overwhelm, why that's so important to fight back against that. So we will talk about it in Wednesday's video. But for now, your homework assignment is like, what am I spending my energy on, my spoons on? Is it in things that lasting value that help me go forward? Or is it just in things that I just kind of always do that fill the time but don't really nourish me very much? So I look forward to hearing in the comments below what you guys are discovering. And I will see you in Wednesday's video. Bye for now.